All right, here we go. Brand new Flyers Daily for what's Thursday? Yeah, Thursday, December 5th. I'm losing track of days because it's been like 4 days since the Flyers have played. See, the lack of schedule really messes with me. I need the structure. Let's play every other day, practice, day off, the whole thing. Flyers Daily, as always, presented by Ticketmaster. Make more memories live. Flyers will drop the puck on the December slate of games. Tonight against the reigning Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers at Wells Fargo Center. Then Saturday, they're going to head to Boston to take on the Boston Bruins. That all of a sudden is, this is early in the season to say this, but one of the teams they're battling for a playoff spot with in the Boston Bruins. Boston's actually third right now in the Atlantic Division of the Eastern Conference. Flyers, wild card number 2 as we record this. Tampa Bay Lightning, 1 point back of the Flyers. They have 2 games in hand. Pittsburgh, 1 point back, but the Flyers have 2 games in hand. So decent positioning right now. Got to keep playing well. After the game on Saturday against the Bruins, it'll be 7:30 on Sunday night as the Utah Hockey Club will come to Philadelphia. Then the Flyers will go to Columbus, home against Detroit. Go to Minnesota, go to Detroit, come back home to take on the Kings and Blue Jackets, then head to Pittsburgh, Christmas break, and then head out west to Anaheim, Los Angeles, and San Jose to wrap up the month. So another busy month of hockey, not as busy as last month, but incredibly important month of hockey for the Flyers. And that begins tonight with a team that they're trying to exact a little revenge on from a loss earlier this season, an overtime loss against the Florida Panthers, who are sitting in the second spot in the Atlantic Division, 32 points, tied with Toronto, but Toronto's got 2 games in hand. They are plus 11 in goal differential, 4-5-1 in their last 10. And they did lose their last 1. Flyers come in having won 3 straight, 7-2-1 in their last 10. One of the hottest teams in the Eastern Conference right now. The only team hotter is the Toronto Maple Leafs at 8-2. And the Flyers will get a shot at revenge against Florida, who just a little while back, they had that 3-game road trip. They went to Florida, to Tampa, they went to actually Carolina, Florida, and then Tampa. Maybe in different order, but I digress. Since that game, which Florida won in the shootout 4-3, Florida lost their next 2, both to New Jersey, 4-1, 6-2. Then they beat Winnipeg at home 5-0. Then they lost to Winnipeg on the road 6-3, lost to Chicago 3-1, lost to Colorado 7-4, lost to Washington 4-1. They rattled off 4 straight losses, and they lost 6 of 7 in that stretch, but then they've won 3 out of their last 4. They beat Toronto, beat Carolina twice, 6-3 and 6-0, and a 5-4 overtime loss against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, but this Florida team, we know that this team is going to be built for the playoffs once again after winning a cup, playing into what seemed like August last year. It wasn't, but it felt like that. The Flyers will take on the Florida Panthers tonight. Congratulations, by the way, to the Travi, Sanheim, and Konechny for being named to Team Canada's 4 Nations roster. I mean, Konechny to me was an absolute no-brainer. I thought Bill and I talked about this on Monday's episode, that maybe Sanheim was a bit of more of a coin flip. I think what tilted things in Sanheim's favor, not as just only how he's playing, but the fact that he can log a lot of minutes, a lot of situations, and he can kill penalties. That's part of it. So I think that's probably what put him over the top. And also congratulations to Rasmus Ristolainen for being selected to Team Finland. And frankly, he's earned it. He really had. He's been one of the storylines of this first quarter of the season. John Tortorella talked about it the other day. The thing about Risto is you get him playing well, and then he's unavailable. He didn't play a ton last year. I think he played like 36 games or so last year. Got to keep him in the lineup. But he is playing very well right now. And obviously, he's a name that gets tossed around out there when it comes to the trade market as well, with 2 years remaining after this one on his contract. Joel Farabee is another guy who's been out there a little bit as well in the trade market. We'll talk about that coming up, as we're going to kind of go through we're going to clear out the inbox, clear out some emails, clear out some DMs, and react to a few of them. I want to start with this one, though. This one comes in from our good buddy Drew Dangles. He said, he sent me this just a couple of days ago and said, "Hey, I'm excited about Kolosov." This was after I did the interview with Kolosov and Mishkov. He said, "I trust your instincts on goalie. You think he's the guy? Seems like he has the ability to steal games." Kolosov's been very good since he came in and kind of got acclimated. Fedotov's been very good. The Flyers' save percentage, I think it's like 918. Or no, I think it's higher than that, like 925. 5-on-5 on high danger chances. That's an insane number, by the way. Very high number between Fedotov and Kolosov. And I know that both have performed really well of late for the Flyers. And they've given them really good goaltending, and they've been a huge part why this team has turned the corner and turned things around. We'll see if they can sustain that, but why they were able to mitigate the damage while Sam Ersson was out. I mean, Fedotov has played in 9 games this year. I think he played a couple last year, maybe started 2. Kolosov has played 7 games this year. And yeah, both have looked really good. But one of the things, look, I don't know to answer Drew Dangle's question if he's the guy. If I were to answer that question, whether I thought Kolosov was the guy, or I thought Kolosov wasn't the guy, or I thought Fedotov was the guy or wasn't the guy, like when he struggled early in the year, I said, I'm not going to judge him on this minuscule sample size. And one of the things I've seen out there quite a bit, and frankly, I think it's as asinine a thought as you could ever come up with right now, is, hey, these two guys are playing great. Maybe it's time to take calls and trade Sam Ersson. Those guys do not have anywhere near a large enough sample size that you do that. First of all, you're trading a position that lacks depth. Yeah, they have 3 at the NHL level right now with Ersson, Fedotov, and Kolosov. But you lost McAnemy with the Phantoms. You have Cal Peterson there, who's not part of the future in any way, shape, or form. Noel Meyer, you're really thin there. And if you trade Ersson and then all of a sudden Fedotov gets hurt, you don't do that. And you're not going, even with Sam Ersson's numbers and his career numbers, he is not valuable enough in a trade. If you're telling me that I could trade Sam Ersson and get a first-round pick, whatever, and a prospect, I'd say, okay. But I think that's a freaking pipe dream. You can't do that yet. He's got a small sample size, for goodness sake, at this point. He's played in 74 games. For goalie, talk to me when they play about $120, $140. That's sample size. That's them adjusting to the league adjusting to them adjusting again. I mean, to say that between Fedotov and Kolosov, you have about less than 20 games of NHL experience. Half of those games were poor, but the recency of what we've seen lately is not. We fall in and out of love with players. I don't know if it's like this in other cities. I don't. I've never lived in another city other than State College, where I went to when I went to Penn State. I never lived full time in Denver or in LA or Chicago. Never did it. So I don't know what those cities are like. Frankly, I don't care what they're like. But what I do know is that in this city, and it may be like this in other cities, we fall in love really fast and we fall out of love really fast. Enjoy what Kolosov is doing. Enjoy what Fedotov is doing. But let's not get crazy here. You have to go through this process, and it takes time. We live in this microwave society world where everybody wants to pop it in the microwave, eat it in 60 seconds. You know what the problem with the microwave is? It tastes like crap when you cook it in the microwave. When you slow roast it, it's better. When you grill it, it's better than just heating it in a rubberized microwave. So I don't know if he's the man, Drew Dangles. I really don't. I think he looks like he looks like an NHL goalie to me. But there's a lot of guys that look like it but can't handle it. Can he handle being a number one? That's another question. You can have a guy that's got all this skill, but when he has to be the man, it's different. Everybody wants to be the number one, but doing it is not easy at all. And I don't know if he is a guy that will be able to handle that pressure that comes with the position as a number one. I don't. It's way too early to tell. So again, the notion of trading Sam Ersson, I don't think is foolish. I don't think it's a talking point. I think it's asinine. That's kind of where I'm at when it comes to any of that chatter at this point in time, which brings me to our next submission. And this comes from Ed. Ed's, I think, emailed before. Good Flyers fan. And in the subject line, it says Joel Farabee. But I like Ed's take on this. He said, I hope you had a good weekend. Flyers' current winning streak certainly helped me have a good one. That being said, I saw someone comment online about Joel Farabee's inability to finish, and he has had an inability to finish this year. They noted, quote, it's time to trade him. He said, below is my reasoning as to why he should not be traded. And I'm interested in your thoughts. Joel has been driving offense of late, but has not been rewarded for it. He has shown in the past that he can finish. 20-goal scorer twice. I know a couple of years ago, he bought Kutz's house. Since then, he's been a big part of the team culture, frequently hosting social gatherings and sometimes having teammates live with him. Although he doesn't have an official captain position on the team, he is still a leader. Trading him now could mess with that atmosphere in the locker room. Torts and upper management have frequently stated they like the room. Unless they are going to get wowed with a good return, it's not worth risking disrupting the culture. Okay, I'm a little more ambivalent on that part of it. You can't. I'm not in favor of trading Joel Farabee, and I'll explain why I feel that way. But it has nothing to do with upsetting that culture. If you want to get better, you have to trust that your pillars of culture are there, and you can handle the loss of a liked player in the room, because they have to understand it is a business. Ed goes on to say he is a legit left winger. Flyers don't have a lot of natural left wingers, especially one that has shown they can put up 50 points in an NHL season. Totally agree. They have a ton of right wingers, and they're trying to flip some right wingers to left wing, and I think there's challenges with that. But I agree. I don't want to trade from the position where I'm thin when I can trade from a position where I've got depth, and I can do that, which is right wing. He said, although I don't think he's living up to the $5 million a year he's being paid right now, it is a tolerable number for a player that has a decent ceiling, especially if the cap keeps going up for his last 3 years. He's got 3 years left. At that $5 million a year, he signed the $30 million contract. He said, Joel isn't a huge guy, but he's not afraid to play physically. I think he's at his best when he's throwing the body, forechecking hard, and going to the blue paint, unless it's 2 breakaways in the same shift. He had the one in overtime that didn't capitalize on either. He said, the production will come. We need to stick with him. Verdict, keep him, in my opinion. Respectfully, Ed Bertino. Respectfully, Ed, I agree. To me, this is a player that you could have instant regret. Again, if I get bowled over with a deal, I have to listen on everybody in the position the Flyers are in right now. And if I get bowled over with a deal, then yeah, absolutely. You have to make it. I'm not saying anybody's off the table. But to me, Joel Farabee is one of those guys. First of all, when he's not scoring, and like Ed said in the beginning, someone said online, Joel Farabee's got an inability to finish, time to trade him. First of all, you don't trade a guy when he's at depressed value. That's not smart. You want to trade him. You want to build that value up. If you're going to trade him when he's got more value, not depressed value. You're just going to get less. And I think there's risk in trading him. I think he's a player that eventually will be a penalty killer too. I think at times he's been on power play number 2. I think he can be a power play number 2 player and up his production. Through the first 60 games last year, he was very good. He didn't go many nights back to back without ending up on the score sheet. He was pretty consistent. He hit a wall like the entire team did last year. That wasn't just that wasn't an issue just exclusive to Joel Farabee. So I've had this conversation with a lot of people that I'm friends with that text me about him, or DM, and people I go back and forth with or talk to about, the notion of trading Joel Farabee. And I've said to all of them, I would be really careful about doing that. Again, because it's a position where I don't have tremendous depth on the left side, and I have tremendous depth on the right side. And I think there's a lot of risk there in trading him. Again, this is the part of what we talked about before, falling in love really fast and falling out of love really fast. The guy hasn't put the puck in the net with any consistency so far this year. He is playing well. So you go, okay, it's time to trade him. When he scored the 20 goals in the 55 games, people were loving that contract. And obviously, for good reason. He was producing. He's not producing now. So it's totally fine and legit to question it. But I think we have to have a little bit more of a level of patience with Joel Farabee, especially as long as things are going well from a team perspective. This is a guy that hasn't scored with any consistency this year. That's been elevated to the top line. And the top line is performing. He just isn't getting the goals. So We'll see where it goes this year. But I do agree with Ed. I do not think I'm not looking to trade Joel Farabee. There's a lot of guys that I'm not looking to trade, but I'll listen. I got to listen on everybody. That's where you are in this rebuild right now. That's the prudent thing to do. We'll see how conversations kind of go over the next couple of weeks leading up to the holiday around the NHL. I think some teams are really starting to panic for good reason. But we'll see if that's an opportunity to make a deal that swings in your favor. And maybe sometimes that deal doesn't look like it swings in your favor initially, but it ends up doing so. I'm a big believer in slotting. Like when Emil Andre came up and he slotted into that second pair, and that second pair can play between 20 and 22 minutes a night, defend well, and provide offense. And he can bring you some special teams play as well. What that did to Rasmus Ristolainen, what that's done to the deployment overall. Sometimes just little additions here and there. They don't seem big, but because of the way it slots the team, it makes a big difference. It kind of reminds me of going into 1920 until Lane Vigneault's first year. Nolan Patrick wasn't coming back. Flyers signed Kevin Hayes, and they signed Tyler Pitlick and Matt Niskanen. Matt Niskanen wouldn't be known as one of the elite defensemen in the NHL. Tyler Pitlick's a bottom six grinder. Kevin Hayes got paid. He's a free agent. But those three players came in, and it slotted everything different. And they were a really good team that year. Pandemic hit and kind of screwed everything up, but slotting means a lot. One player, two players, and even though they're not names that you'd put on the marquee, can change a lot. Although I would put Emil Andre's name on the marquee because he is a player that when I'm watching a game, I'm looking for him. I love watching him play. Really enjoy his game. All right, Flyers and the Panthers tonight. We'll break it down tomorrow. So join us then on a Friday edition of Flyers Daily.